I think we are live. Give me a second here, get all set up. I don't even know if anybody's in here yet or not, but if you are first time to this broadcast, I'll get all this out of the way now. This is a weekly live broadcast I do pretty much every Thursday. Sometimes life gets in the way, but pretty much every Thursday, 7 o'clock Central Time. And I just get on here, answer questions. I let the chat kind of drive the video. There's not really a specific topic. It's just time to interact with my viewers. It's pretty much just an ask me anything kind of thing. So, whatever you guys want to ask, I'll do my best to answer within reason. I reserve the right to not answer a question, but anyway, you guys get the point. So let me get all set up here. I got some people joining. I see you guys in there. Give me a second here, get set up and get the comments going so I can answer the comments. And we'll be good to go. Jasmine, hey there. Who else? Maddox and Peyton and Sean Monahan. Hello to you guys. Luke, hello to you. All right, now we're good to go. All right, hope everybody's having a great week. Yes, hi Luke, we see you. Kinsey, hey. Oh, we got a question right off the bat here. It says, one of my female quail eggs, well, it's not a question, it's a comment, isn't it? One of my female quails is sitting on 8 eggs. So nice, good to hear that. It's not very often that quail go broody, and not Copernicus quail anyway. Some other can go broody, but it's not very often that they do. So it does happen from time to time. I've seen other people. I've never personally had a bird hatch out eggs. I've had a couple I thought were maybe sitting on eggs, but I just didn't give them the chance to do it. So you'll have to come back and let us know if they hatch out. It'd be interesting to see how well she does with incubating them and getting them to hatch. All right, what else we got here? Tyler, how are you? Good to see you. Candace, hats. Oh, what's your favorite song? Oh boy, come off with a personal question there. My favorite song. Oh, I think it probably depends on the mood I'm in right now. I don't know if I have what I would call a favorite song. There's a lot of songs I really, really like. Let me see if I can come up with some. I'm having a hard time coming up with any right off the top of my head. Let me think about that for a minute. We'll get that answered. Maddox and Peyton says, I have 2 rabbits that fight. What do I do? Separate them. That's what I would do. I know that's probably too easy of an answer for you. Maybe not the answer you were looking for, but that's really the only thing I know to do. Separate them, give them separate cages. Chances are they're just fighting over dominance. It's over, their area. They claim that as their area. They don't want any other rabbits in their area. Rabbits in the wild are pretty much solitary animals. They don't live in packs or anything like that. So they don't really need companionship in captivity. So hopefully that kind of helps with that. I know, like again, it may not be the answer you were looking for, but it's the only answer I have, unfortunately. All right, Eric says, hey Chris, thanks for yesterday's video. I ordered some parts off the links, and my neighbor gave me a 20-gallon barrel. 20-gallon barrel, nice. That'll provide lots of water. Glad you liked the video. Glad it helped out. I've been using that setup for my water. If you guys don't know what video he's talking about, it's the automatic watering system I put up for my quail. It works great for me. I've been using it for a long time. Well, not that specific one, that's a brand new one, but that same setup, that same system. I've got one barrel where I put a splitter in it and ran 2 hoses off, one to each hutch, and it does a great job. It keeps the birds watered, and I don't have to worry about it getting dirty or any of those kinds of things. All right, let's see, where are we at? Kinsey, I hatched some eggs about 3 weeks ago. When should I bring them outside? I would say probably right about now. I generally move especially in the summertime when it's warm out, I move my birds out usually between 2 to 3 weeks old when they're fully feathered out, wean them off the heat for a couple of days, and then move them right on out. And they usually do just fine. I don't really have any problems with them. So I would say, yeah, any time now is probably good. Sean says, I have 2 females out of 250 plus quail that lay on their eggs. So yeah, you've got 2 of them that went broody and will sit on their eggs, Sean. Nice. Like I said, it's a pretty rare thing for quail, Copernicus anyway, to go broody. You'll read some people say they won't do it at all, but it's possible. It does happen, but it's not real common. It's fairly rare. I have a female that I swear she wants to sit on her eggs. She's always sitting in the same spot. She's usually got an egg or 2, but she doesn't do a good job of gathering them all together and sitting on them. So I haven't really let her try to hatch them out. But anyway, all right, Luke says 3 of my chicks got attacked. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Luke. I'm not sure if you know what attacked him or not, that's, that's not good for sure. Walter's here today. Hey, Walter, how are you? And James, good evening to you. Okay, now we're back to answering what my favorite song is. Let's see. Some of my favorite songs. Well, the song that my wife and I did our first dance to our wedding, it was You Belong to Me, and it was the version by Annie Lennox, if you know who Annie Lennox is, from the Eurythmics. She does a great job with that. I really like Bob Dylan's version of that song as well. But it's got that, it was like on the movie Natural Born Killers, and it's got a piece in there where they're talking. It's like movie lines coming in. I don't like that, so we didn't use that version. Annie Lennox does a great job with that. It's a good song. I like, let's see, Elton John, Your Song. I like that song quite a bit. That's a great song. We got a couple other questions here. We'll come back to answer more of that if we need to. Let's see. Rebecca, hey, how are you? Maddox and Peyton says, what do I do to get me dough to take? Oh, get my dough to take. You're trying to breed her, and I'm assuming that it's a problem she won't lift for the buck. That's my guess. That's probably the most common thing that happens. Now, if she's lifting and you're getting successful fall-offs, and she's not pregnant, she's not giving birth, 30 days later, that's a whole different issue altogether. My guess would be if you live anywhere in, I don't know, North America, it's probably because it's summertime. The buck may have gone sterile temporarily, and just wait till fall and try again. If it's that she won't lift for the buck, that's a pretty common thing. Usually what I do in those situations is just take her to the buck over and over again. So, morning, evening, morning, evening, morning, evening. Usually fourth, fifth time, somewhere right around in there, she does lift for the buck, and will become a little bit more receptive. Now, I have heard of people talking about put her in a pet carrier, drive her around the block. I have no idea why that would work, but apparently it does. It's been reported to work. And then, as soon as you bring her home, you put her in the male's cage, and she's usually receptive at that point. I don't know. I've never resorted to that. Usually, like I said, about 4 or 5 times, and it gets, she's receptive at that point. So, okay, looks like I got that question answered. Good. Glad I could help with that. All right. So, what else are we talking about? Other songs that are great. I'm just filling dead air here until more questions come in or more comments come in. Other songs that I really like. Boy, I'm having a hard time. Brett Denon's really good. I like a lot of his music. Let's see, specifically that song. I can't remember the name of the song. Is it Friend Like You? I've got Without a Friend Like You in My Life. I can't remember the name of the song, but that's how it goes. He Lives, great username, says, my buck doesn't fall off, but we have litters. Interesting. Usually it's the buck is, he falls off whenever he breeds. That's a pretty common thing, but occasionally I guess that won't happen. Rebecca wants to know, how's the garden doing? So-so. It's not the best garden ever. In fact, it's probably one of my worst gardens ever. I'm going to do some future videos on it because I did promise I would do that. I'm pretty sure the biggest reason that I don't have a good garden is because I decided to do that whole seed to harvest series this year and show everybody the progress from seed to harvest. And I didn't think Murphy's Law got me, and it just made not a great one. I really don't know what's going on with the garden. I've had a hard time getting seeds to sprout. The plants that have sprouted just are not real vigorous. I'm beginning to wonder if there wasn't maybe some herbicide or something in the wood chips that I brought in to cover the ground with mulch. I don't know. If that's the case, then it's just a temporary issue. Next year should be fine. But it may have been what's affected it this year. I don't know. It didn't stop the Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass is growing like crazy, and I've been neglecting my garden. I haven't been watering. I haven't been doing anything. So I'll show some videos on it. I'm getting produce. Some things are growing, but just not as good as what they usually do. All right. Sean says, got to keep up with the great videos. Well, thank you so much for the kind comments. Appreciate that. Yeah, He Lives says it's really hard to tell when they're bred. Yeah, if you don't see the male fall off, there's no way to know for sure, honestly. There is, but it's incredibly hard to tell if a rabbit is pregnant or not. Just assume if you put her in with a male, if you didn't watch them the whole time, or if you saw a successful fall off, assume she's pregnant. 30 days later, you should expect to have baby rabbits. There's no easy way to really tell, if she's pregnant or not. I gotta do something here. fix this chat box so I can read it a little bit better. There we go. All right. Devin says, will you get any other livestock or animals in the future? You never know. I might. I've toyed with the idea of getting ducks. I live in town, so I'm kind of limited with what I can do. I've toyed with the idea of getting ducks. That's probably the next thing I would do, just because duck eggs are so good. They're just fantastic, and especially on a fried egg sandwich with that huge yolk. It's just fantastic. So that would be the idea why I would get ducks. But I don't have anything set up for them yet. I need to do all that first. So who knows? I might add additional livestock at some point. Also thought about adding bees. I haven't done that, but I've really thought about it. So who knows? You guys stay tuned. You'll know if I do get any other livestock. I'll make sure to show it. All right, Julian Maylett. Hopefully I got your name right. It says, do you hunt squirrel? Yes, I do squirrel hunt. Squirrel hunting is one of my favorite types of hunting, actually. It's very fast-paced. You can go out for just half a day and come home with a couple of squirrels. They're great to eat. The meat's just, it's not quite as lean as rabbit, but it is, still fairly lean. So they do better baked or broiled or pressure cooked, those kinds of things. But I think they have just a little bit of a sweeter flavor. I do like squirrel quite a bit, and squirrel hunting is one of my favorite types of hunting. All right. Excuse me while I get a drink there. All right, Tyler says, I got an area tilled up for a garden next year, getting ready to spread chicken manure on it for it to sit with all winter long. That's a great plan, Tyler. Make sure you mulch that. Put something over the top of it after you do that, whether it's, just as simple as like cardboard maybe, or an old tarp, or wood chips, or something, but you got to cover that ground. If you don't, nature will cover it for you, and it'll do it with weeds. So make sure you cover it. That's my biggest advice. But yeah, that's a great, add your chicken manure to it now, let it sit till spring, and it's going to be fantastic at that point. Chicken manure is, really hot, so it's a little too hot, too high in nitrogen to plant into right away. But putting it on there and letting it sit and letting it, for 3, 4, 5 months makes it just perfect situation. You should have a fantastic garden next year. All right, Maddox Payton says, I have 3 mini Rex and have a cage that holds 3 rabbits. I put the buck in the middle and the does on the right and the left. Do you think in 2 days one of my mini Rex does may take? Do you think in 2 days one of my mini Rex does? Well, maybe if you put her in with the buck and she breeds, or he breeds her, then there's pretty good chance. I don't know. Just putting the male's usually always ready. It's the does that are the ones that maybe be a little bit reluctant. Having the male nearby can put them in the mood. I would say make sure you put some kind of cage divider in there so they can't breed through the wire. You want to control the breeding. And it does happen where rabbits will breed through the wire if you let them sometimes. If you leave them close proximity there with no kind of divider. I just use I get a piece of, it's like flashing, aluminum flashing, and that's what I use for my cage divider. And that keeps that from happening. But there's a good chance that they will be receptive and will breed if you give them just a couple of days like that. All right, Ann Bouquet, I guess I got that right. What is the best breed of quail for meat? Well, let's see. As far as Coturnix quail go, my favorite is the jumbo Pharaoh quail. You got a couple of options there. The jumbo birds are going to be your best for meat. You've got jumbo Pharaoh, you've got jumbo meat makers. Those are both JMF bloodlines. They both pretty much look like the same bird, just slight differences, very slight differences. I like the Pharaohs personally. I think they lay a little bit slightly bigger egg. It's not that much bigger. It's just a little bit bigger, and they grow out pretty much the same as the meat makers. Just maybe the meat makers grow out slightly faster. I don't know. There are, let's see, I think the A&Ms are considered a jumbo bird. I don't like the A&Ms myself. I've tried to raise them before, and I just found that the ones that I had real aggression problems. So I don't really care for those. And I also like the idea that, you can look at one of the brown ones, the jumbo Pharaohs, the meat makers, and you can just tell right away, that's a rooster, that's a hen, just by looking at them. Whereas the white birds and any of those like tuxedos, any of those, you have to vent sex them to be able to tell. And it's not that much work to do, but it is a little bit of extra work. So that's why I like the jumbo Pharaohs. That's just my choice. It's really just a matter of personal choice. Any of them are going to be good meat birds. They're all pretty much the same as far as breeding goes. Hatching the eggs, the hatchability, all that kind of stuff is pretty much the same. The jumbos get bigger, so if you're looking for meat birds, it makes sense that you might want bigger birds. That's just how it goes. Hopefully that answers that for you. All right, what do we have? Where are we at right now? Oh, we got a couple of questions that came in here. Let's see. Walter says, I added oyster shell. I know it's for calcium, but it's for the health to harden eggs. But it is, oh, is it for health or to harden eggs? Yeah, generally extra calcium added to your bird's diet is both. It's for the bird's health because with low calcium, they'll put a lot of that into the egg production and they can end up with brittle bones, with leg problems, with all those kinds of things. In fact, that's probably one of the better indicators that you need to add calcium is not so much that you're getting, weak-shelled eggs or any of that kind of stuff, but that your birds start having like leg problems and not like feet problems, not like, cutting their feet or anything like that. That kind of stuff happens from time to time. I'm talking leg problems. Like you see a bird just kind of hobbling around, having a hard time walking, and there's nothing wrong with its feet. That's one of the biggest indicators because they have a lack of calcium. So yeah, oyster shell is a good thing to add. I don't really find that I need to most of the time, but the birds will kind of self-regulate. So whenever you do that, make sure you add the calcium like in a separate container, not in their regular feed container, so they can eat as much as they want. They don't get an overdose of calcium because too much calcium can be a bad thing too. It can really make your hatch rates go way, way down because what it does is it hardens the shell so much it makes it hard for the chicks to pip their way out of the shells, if that makes sense. All right. Eric wants to know, how many quail do you have right now? Let's see. I don't know exactly. 20, 40, probably somewhere around 80, 85, I think. I've got some grow outs right now. I've got about 30 or to 40 grow outs. I'm not really sure exactly how many I've got. But I've got somebody coming to buy some tomorrow, help pay for my quail feed, so that'll go down quite a bit. And, it'll go down 15 or 20 birds anyway. We'll see. All right, He Lives says, thank you. We have been hoping for the best and staying prepared for kits anyway. Yep, no problem. Hopefully you get some. All right, Maddox says, get a chicken coop, get chicken and ducks, huh? That's what you're getting. I could do chickens and ducks. I don't really see any reason to add chickens. I mean, I like chickens. Chickens are kind of neat little birds, and you can kind of free range them. That'd be kind of cool. I couldn't do it in my backyard. My dog just would not leave them alone. He's part bird dog. He just loves birds. He wouldn't intentionally kill the birds, but he would run them until they just couldn't take it anymore and die from exhaustion. So I'd have to do it, out in the back lot, and I could do it back there, but I'd have to put up some fencing and some of those kinds of things. And I don't know that I want to do both chickens and ducks. I think it's probably one or the other. I don't know. We'll see. All right, Tyler says, have you ever bred Champagne d'Argentines? I can't ever pronounce that word. Champagne d'Argentines? I can't remember. I'm not getting that right, I know. We're thinking of getting a few to add to our rabbitry, but heard they could be difficult to breed. I've never bred them myself. Let's see, I did have a rabbit that was a cross, a half-breed with something else. I don't remember. And she did fine. There was no problems with her. Great little, meat rabbits. They grew out pretty fast. They were very meaty. The babies were anyway. But no, I don't have a personal experience with that breed. That I haven't actually bred them, no. All right, Edward says, did you get to see my PVC, a quail cage on the yacht? Yep, I saw it on there. You didn't see my comment. I commented on there, Edward, that it was nice. It looks like a good setup you've got there. I wonder, I'm glad you joined because I'm kind of curious. Sorry, I get another drink. I'm real dry for some reason. I wonder how your neighbors all around there think about you letting all their droppings just fall right into the water. My first thought was like, oh no, that's got to be. But then I've got thinking about it. You know what? That's probably not hurting anything. There's plenty of, seagulls and other birds and all that kind of stuff that just poop in the water all the time. It's probably fine. But I just wonder if you don't have some neighbors in the area that maybe talk behind your back about you or something. I don't know. But it looked like a pretty cool setup you had there. I liked it. I thought it was nice. Excuse me. All right. Maddox and Peyton says, how are your rabbits doing and how many do you have? Also, any babies? Well, I have 4 rabbits right now. 2 of them are grow outs from my last litter. They're getting ready to go to the freezer. They're probably close to 12 weeks old right now. Rabbits are doing fine. I'm still looking for a couple of does. I need 2 does for the breeding season. I've got some time before I really comes down to having to have them. But I just haven't come across anything that's real good. So, the rabbit I've got right now, she's a New Zealand, I think she's a New Zealand Flemish giant cross. I was told she was just a New Zealand cross, but she has really low litters. They grow out really slow. Makes me think she's got some Flemish giant in her. So that's just, who knows. Sweet rabbit, I'll probably end up giving her away as a pet. She's got a great personality, good temperament, easy to handle. All those things are good. She's just not the best meat rabbit. She doesn't produce big enough litters. They don't grow out nearly fast enough. So that's what I'm looking for. All right. Chloe says, my rabbit had babies a week and 4 days ago. When will the babies open their eyes? Any day now. Week and 4 days should be about, right about 10 to 11 days old. Usually they're opening their eyes, so I wouldn't be surprised if you don't go out there and their eyes are open. It's pretty quick usually. All right, Samuel says, hi, your neighbor from Powell, Missouri. Got 13 roosters ready to butcher this weekend. Refrigerate for 24 hours before freezing. Oh, asking the question, should you refrigerate them? I assume you're talking about quail. Yeah, I let my quail sit. They don't take as long as like rabbits do. And basically, I let my rabbits age until the rigor mortis leaves the meat. So, you butcher a rabbit, it's real flexible. You cleaned it out, and then it gets real stiff. Rigor mortis sets in. Let rigor mortis leave. That usually takes 24, 48 hours, somewhere right around in there. I usually let them go 2 or 3 days, and then I go ahead and stick them in the freezer. And I haven't been anywhere in a while. I've only been fishing like 2 or 3 times this year. I need to get out there and get that done. All right. Lance says, do you weigh your quail grow outs for choosing which ones to keep as future breeders, or do you have suggested target weights to look for in breeding stock? I don't weigh my breeders usually. I just kind of eyeball them, which ones look to seem to be the biggest. Those are the ones that I keep. I have weighed birds before. I would say, I don't necessarily have a target weight for breeding stock. It's just going to pretty much depend on what you have. If you don't have, if I gave you a target weight, let's say 11 ounces, and all your birds were at 9 ounces, well, that's what you got. That's what you're going to have to deal with. So I would just say go with the biggest ones. That's the way I would do it. Anyway, hopefully that helps a little bit. But yeah, a typical jumbo bird's going to get somewhere between 10 to 11 ounces, maybe just a little bit over. That's pretty much what a jumbo bird is. I think anything over 10 ounces is considered jumbo. So that would be, I guess, the target weight. All right, Jimmy AC says, I'm working, Chris. Been very busy with AC from Salem, Missouri. Hey, not too far from, well, a little ways, but not too terribly far from me. Glad you could check in while you were working. Don't work too hard. It's awful hot out there today. I don't know what it is up there by you guys, but we had a little bit of a storm come through, actually. It kind of skirted right around us, and good grief, I wish we'd have got it. We need the rain so bad. But it looked like it all went just to the east of us. We got some wind, and the temperature dropped a little bit, but no rain. All right. Edward says, I had a 2-hour power outage with my quail eggs at 14 days. Temp was 60. Looked up, and they said that it would be okay. I think it's probably going to be okay. You're talking about 2 hours, but the temp dropped to 60 degrees. That's incredibly low for a 2-hour power outage. Unless I don't know where you've got them, but it just seems like that's a quick drop in temperature. But still, they should be okay. It's only a 2-hour drop in temperature. It should be fine. They may hatch out just a little bit later than normal, but it shouldn't be a big deal. I wouldn't worry about it too much. All right, Branscombe Farm. Hey there. Hey, Slightly Redneck. Okay, well, hey to you. Tyler says, also, we just had a cinnamon rabbit that just had 11 kits a few days ago, and it's in the 90s. Can kits overheat, or just adult rabbits that overheat? Yeah, kits can overheat. One of the things I would say is make sure you don't use a closed-in nest box. Make sure you have something with an open top to have plenty of ventilation in there for them. It's not as big of a concern with baby rabbits, but it does happen. It can happen. Just again, give them as much ventilation as you can. You don't want to take them out to where they're just open air with no nesting material around them, because they can chill too. Surprisingly easy. But yeah, don't want a closed-in nest box. Moisture and heat are the enemy, and closing in a nest box with a lid on it or something is going to pretty much guarantee that it gets hot and humid inside the nest box, and you've got both. So it does need to be open air. That's my biggest suggestion for that. All right, Banscombe Farms. I have a 5 to 6 week old rabbit that has a bad eye infection. I cleaned it out and put in some eye meds from our cat. Any other suggestions to help this poor guy? Okay, a 5 to 6 week old rabbit sounds like nest box eye. Yeah, I mean, chances are that's going to take care of it. That's going to be just fine. I've used just chamomile tea, just a tea bag. You know, dip it in some water, heat it up, warm water, to get it to kind of brew and steep, and then maybe a little bit of honey in there, and then just kind of wet the eye and clean the eye with that, and that's worked pretty well to get that cleared up for me. But yeah, if you're using meds, they're probably antibiotics is what they are to clear up an infection. That should work. Just you're just gonna have to clean it out pretty regularly. Just a damp cloth or something like that, clean the gunk off of it, and it's probably gonna heal just fine. They usually get over that pretty quick. All right, MT says raised champagnes as a kid. They're dynamite meat rabbits. Great meat type, very pretty as kits. Yeah, I've thought about getting some. I just haven't come across any here locally. All right, Edward says, lucky for me, there's a lady with a macaw that chimes up every day, so I'm under the radar. Oh, you're talking about the birds on the, that's great. The birds on the yacht. Yeah, you've got a lady with a macaw. So yeah, okay, I guess they're not going to complain then. My neighbor actually came out one day. He lived there several years. Came out one day, his back gate, and I was out there working. I'd never really met him. And he came out and he said, what kind of birds do you have back there? And I told him, oh, they're quail. I said, are they bothering you? He goes, no, for the longest time, I didn't even know they were there. I heard them, but I just thought they were birds, just wild birds. And then I looked over the fence one day doing something and saw the hutches back there and thought, well, he's got some kind of bird in those cages. Didn't even know they were there for the longest time. And it's just right by his backyard. I mean, just right there. Anyway, funny. All right. MT says one thing. Oh, hello, Olivia. How are you? MT says one thing about champagne bunnies is that they're born black. The gray shows up as they grow. Interesting. I've had a few rabbits that were born, well, I had that champagne cross. That's probably why. Giant chinchilla is another one that makes pretty good meat rabbits, actually. And they're the cutest rabbits ever as bunnies. Soft and just adorable. It makes it hard to butcher them, but they do make a good meat rabbit. All right, Samuel Beasley says, okay, I'm off Sundays. If you want to catch a mess of fish, bring your kayak if you want to make a day of it. I'm going to have to take you up on that, Samuel. Let you know. I don't know if you're in the Facebook group or not. I can't remember. If you are, maybe I'll look you up on there and hit you up if I can ever make time. Won't be this weekend. I got a garden club meeting this weekend I got to go to and present, I think. And next weekend probably won't be because I've got another work trip coming up, not this coming week, the week after. So next weekend I'm going to have to spend time with my wife. I shouldn't say I have to. I want to spend time with my wife because I'm not going to be able to see her for a week. So, all right. Yeah, Branscombe Farms is right. Any rabbit can overheat. Absolutely. Edward says, okay, the outside temperature. Okay, now I'm following along. The outside temp was 60. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that too much, Edward. I think they're going to be just fine. All right. Odai, hopefully I got your name right. I know I've pronounced it before, and you said I got it right before. Hopefully I got it right again. Says, hello, I missed you so much. Well, hey, we missed having you here too. Thanks for coming back. And then Baby Coco, a bunch of letters that are kind of weird and hard to read. Okay, hello. Hello to you. Isabel, hey there, how are you? Good to see you. Joe says 111 degrees in Oklahoma. I didn't lose any rabbits. I must have real tough bunnies. Oh, it's down there really low. I can't hardly read it. I must have real tough bunnies. Tacking on the heat index, it's 115. Yeah, it was 110 heat index to here today. I didn't lose any rabbits off that either, but it's hot, miserably hot. And all right, call me Coco. Okay, I'll try to remember that. Michaela says, how old can I sell my Holland Lops at? 6 weeks? You really need to wait till probably about 8 weeks old, honestly. I would never sell a rabbit under 8 weeks old. 6 weeks is probably the bare minimum you can start to wean them from their mom. And even then you might end up with some problems, weaning enteritis, which causes diarrhea and can cause death in the rabbits. You don't want to sell a rabbit that young to somebody and have them end up with problems. It's just not good for the rabbit itself. It's really best to wait till about 8 weeks old. That's just my personal opinion. So hopefully that helps. All right, what else we got here? All right, Coco wants to know, how many pets do you have? Well, I have one. I have a dog. I have rabbits. I have quail, but those I don't consider pets. Those are more like livestock, I guess. So they're not my pets. As far as how many rabbits I have, let's see, right now I've got 4 rabbits, quail, I don't know, somewhere around, what did I say earlier, 20, 40, 60, probably 65 to 80 birds, somewhere right around in there. I'm not real sure. I'd have to go out and count them all. But those aren't, again, those aren't pets. So I just have the one dog. He's the only pet I have. And he's a real good dog, but no, I don't have multiple pets, so to speak. All right, what else we got? The chat's kind of quiet tonight. Christopher Stone, why don't you do chickens? Well, no reason really. You know, I do the quail. They provide me with plenty of eggs, more eggs than I can eat. They're easier to take care of than chickens, in my opinion. And I don't have to worry about you know, letting them out, letting them back in. They just stay in their cages. They're all just fine. It's just a personal choice, really. There's no reason. My neighbor has chickens. I like to watch them, but it's not. There's not any reason why I don't have chickens necessarily. Just a personal choice. All right, I gotta fix this chat again. The chat box is kind of in a bad place. I can't read the bottom chats, and I can't get it to work. All right, we'll see if that works. Okay, so I have a very bad July for rabbits. Lost many of my moms to mom's neglect. She was peeing in the nest, not feeding babies the first few days, and these are not first-time moms. Very frustrating. Boy, that is frustrating, and it's unusual for that to happen with, like you said, experienced moms. That's usually more like a first-time mom kind of thing. But I wonder if it's not the heat and the stress and that kind of thing getting to them, if it doesn't cause them to act kind of weird and erratic and those kinds of things. I don't know, honestly. I'm sorry to hear that. Usually don't have that problem with older, more experienced rabbits. All right, Doug says, have you ever had a problem with a quail that don't like being around other quail? I have a few that are just like being in a smaller cage with only 1 or 2 other birds and freak out in bigger cages. You know, I don't know that I have, but I don't know that I've ever tested that out and tried moving. You know, if I have birds that are overly aggressive or you know, overly freaked out or any of those kinds of things, I just call them so I don't have to deal with them. I've never really tried to move them to smaller cages with smaller numbers to see if they behave differently. Interesting. I never thought of it that way. All right, Edward says, ever heard how they use guinea pigs as livestock in Central and South America? Yeah, I have heard of that. I actually kind of toyed with the idea of getting some guinea pigs at one time. And before you say, you know, guinea pigs, it's not the same kind of guinea pig we have here. They grow bigger. They're a much bigger guinea pig. I mean, they're very similar, but they're much bigger. But the good thing about those is that they are pretty much, you don't have to do anything. I mean, you build, as long as you can keep them in a cage, you know, not a cage, but like a pen area, you just put them in there and they have their babies and raise them themselves, and you don't have to do anything. Just go harvest whenever you want one. They're a little bit slow to grow out. They don't produce really large litters, but you know, again, for not having to do anything, just, you know, let them take care of themselves. I don't know. Sounds like a pretty good idea, really. All right, Tyler says, would your watering system work for a 55-gallon food grade barrel? Yeah, it should work. I don't see why it wouldn't work. The problem you're gonna have is you're gonna have to lift the barrel up above the height of the wherever the water cups are, the water nipples, whatever. The bottom of the barrel is gonna have to be higher than that, or you're only gonna get water, I should say, down to that level. So if you have it sitting on the ground and your water, you know, cups where the birds are drinking from are 3 feet off the ground, or you're gonna have 3 feet of barrel that doesn't ever empty. The water will never. When the water gets down to that level, it'll stop supplying water. You've got to lift it up somehow. And putting a 55-gallon barrel up that, you're going to have to build a pretty sturdy, when that gets full of water, that's going to be, I don't know, 400 or 500 pounds maybe? Well, probably not that much. Probably 300 pounds though. I mean, it's going to be pretty heavy. You're going to have to build a pretty sturdy stand for that barrel to sit on. But yeah, it will absolutely work. There's no reason it wouldn't. The other thing you might have to do is, like when I showed my video the other night, I don't glue any of my pieces together because it's not pressurized. I don't think it would make a difference, but it might be a little bit more pressure coming from a 55-gallon barrel. You might have to glue some of those pieces together, or they might leak or pop apart or something like that. That's my only thought. All right, Coco wants to know, how many babies can a rabbit have? Well, Every rabbit's different. There are some rabbits that have incredibly large litters, 12, 13, 14 babies. That's pretty unusual. I would say most common with a meat rabbits, a good litter would be 9 to 10, somewhere right around in there. In my experience, if they, even with 10 babies, it's not uncommon for them to lose one or two. They just have a hard time taking care of that many. So if they have more than 10, it's very difficult for them to take care of all of them, and there's a good chance that some of them are going to die. You're going to lose some of them. So hopefully that kind of answers that question. Yep. Branscombe Farms is answering that. 6 to 12, depending on the breed. Coco says, I think it was 8. Yeah, 8's a pretty decent litter size. I like to try to get a rabbit that has between 8 to 9. Well, between 8 and 9. 8 or 9, 8 to 10, somewhere right around in there is what I consider a good breeder, a good litter size. Alexi says, have you considered raising chuckar? No, I haven't. Never considered it, honestly. No reason why, just never anything that really interested me that much. If anything, the quail, if I were to add other birds, it's going to either be ducks or chickens, and I'm leaning towards ducks right now, but I may change my mind later on. Excuse me. All right. Chat got dead all of a sudden, just kind of quieted down. Again, these are the times where I always think I should have some kind of topic planned out so that I could fill this dead air and fill this dead time with something, but I still have not done a good job of doing that. All right, Mark says, thanks, Chris, for all your videos. You inspired me to get quail for eggs and meat. In the future, picking up chicks Sunday from KC Quail Farm. Well, congratulations on your new chicks coming. Glad to hear it. And I'm glad that you find the videos helpful. Thanks for watching. I appreciate that. Rebecca with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And she says, thanks for the weekly chat. Well, thank you guys for joining me every week. I appreciate that. Makes it worth doing. All right. Ann says, are literally just peeled 2 dozen quail eggs. Oh, quail eggs. What's the ratio of vinegar to water for pickling? Oh boy, what is it? I want to say it's probably like 3 parts vinegar to 1 part water. I don't know. I made pickled quail eggs one time. I'd never had pickled eggs before, and that's the only time I ever made them, and I didn't like them. So I don't know if I had a bad recipe or if I just don't like pickled eggs. I don't know. You're gonna have to look at look a recipe up online is the best I could tell you. I never liked pickled eggs. I mean, like I said, I only tried them the one time. I did not like them. They weren't good to me. So we'll see. All right. I know a chef at a local university. This is Samuel. She said she would pay $6 a dozen. Is that a good rate? $6 a dozen for eggs? Is that what you're saying, Samuel? $6 a dozen. Yeah, that's a pretty good rate for eggs. If I could sell eggs for $6 a dozen, I'd do it all day long. All right. Coco says, what's your favorite? Oh, I think you're asking what's your favorite rabbit. There's a picture of a rabbit anyway, so that's my guess. My favorite rabbit, my favorite breed is probably a New Zealand white. They're just, I don't know, Californians are pretty good. New Zealand whites are good. I like silver foxes a lot. I like them all, but New Zealand whites are probably my favorite. They just seem to be the most dependable, the easiest to, they just, everything. I mean, they just, big litters, fast growth. If you can get purebred New Zealand whites, they tend to be the best in my opinion. Walter, still waiting on your light system. Boy, I'm hoping I have a sample of it this week or next week. I've been working with the company trying to get it produced. It's been incredibly hard to get done, but I think it's going to be a great setup. Trying to keep the cost down so it'll be affordable for everybody. I'm probably going to have to run a Kickstarter because it's going to be, there's a pretty hefty amount of money I got to come up with to get the initial order done. All I'm getting is the first, the prototype, so to speak, so far. So you guys stay tuned. I'll be running probably a Kickstarter. Need you guys' help spreading the word, getting lots of people excited about it, and getting it sold so that we can get the initial order out. And then after that, it should be pretty easy to keep going at that point. All right. What do you do with extra eggs? I get 30 a day. Well, yeah, eat as many as you can, feed some to the dog, give them away to the neighbors, all kinds of things. That's pretty much what I do with them. All right, Leroy Brown says, to help keep rabbits cool in the... Oh, and Branscombe says, look at that, Rebecca Britannia, thank you for the super chat. Well, I said the same thing. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate that. All right, where are we at? Leroy Brown, to help keep rabbits cool in the summer, you can use a solar panel with small PC fans. When the sun comes up, they're on. When the sun goes down, they're off. Yeah, that's a great idea, Leroy. I don't, if I don't want to invest in a solar panel just to run computer fans for my rabbits, but if you have one already, it's a great idea. No reason you shouldn't do that. Don't put the fans where they blow directly on the rabbits and they can't get out of it. You don't want wind on them all the time. They need to be able to get in and out of the breeze. But computer fans are great. I think they'd be a great addition if you could work that out. All right. Branscombe says, make sure you guys hit the like button and show your support. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, all the support you guys give me, I appreciate it. Whether it's a like, it's a comment on a video, it's just watching the video, any of those things. I appreciate that. That's what makes it worth doing the videos. All right. Rebecca, take Google surveys and it funds all my favorite YouTuber live chats, giving the money back to the creators. Oh, really? Interesting. Well, thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate that. And not just me. I mean, all the other creators out there that you watch. I'm not out here to say nobody else is good. Give me your money. That's not me at all. I appreciate you giving to the creators at all. The people that take the time to put up videos for you guys, to show you how to do things, to answer questions, whatever. Support them. They're taking their time to do it. So support them. All right. Coco says top 5 favorite rabbits. Yes, any breed. Well, there's a couple of them. Again, let's see. New Zealand whites, Californias, silver foxes, giant chinchillas I actually like quite a bit. Those are only 4, aren't they? I'm having a hard time coming up with another one. But anyway, there's 4 of them. All right, now we've got an answer to the pickled eggs. I use half a cup of water, half a cup of apple cider vinegar, quarter to half cup of sugar for pickled eggs. So it's half water, half vinegar, and some sugar. Interesting. That makes sense. I was doing this based on just a regular pickle recipe, which is usually about half. Thinking through this now. So yeah, that makes sense. That would probably work out pretty well. Kinfolk Farm of Georgia. Love the quail watering video. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad you like that. And hopefully it helped out. Good evening, Chris and everyone checking in late. Had to pick a ton of blueberries while they were still here. Not literally a ton, but I have more than I can process tonight. Hey, that's a good problem to have, Kelly. My blackberries are just about to ripen, but I'm afraid the squirrels and the birds are going to get all of them before I get any of them. But oh well, it'll be all right. All right, Hidden Bunnies is here. Hey, how are you, Hidden Bunnies? Good to see you. Jimmy's listening in on us again in the middle of work. Coco says, got to go, be back 5 o'clock. Also, don't feel sad. I like the video. Oh, that's okay, baby Coco. Thank you for joining the video for a while. Thanks for interacting with us. Appreciate it. We've got about another 15 minutes or so, a little bit over, before we'll be signing off for tonight. But if we're still on when you get back, then we'll talk to you then. All right. Rebecca says, I understand how hard your work creating videos is. I'm a writer for scripts to ebooks and everything in between. It's tough to get all that info out there. Well, it can be a little bit tough. I think I was kind of gifted. I got to fix this. Give me just a second, guys. That chat, I pulled the box down too far and the chats were rolling down too low and I couldn't read them. Okay, that's better. All right, so I understand how hard work is. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that that it's all that much hard work. I mean, it's more work than you think it is, creating videos, editing them, right to the point, try to get to the point. All right, can you guys see me now? Are we back? Somebody leave me a comment. Let me know if you can see me. Lost connection there for a minute. Okay, good. Good, we're back. Okay, so what I was saying is, yeah, it is a little bit more work probably than most people think, but I'm not the hardest worker YouTuber out there or anything like that. I do have a full-time job. That's where, I spend most of my time. I do what I can to get, videos out there for you guys. But it is, yeah, it's more work than you think, but it's not that much work for me. The hardest part for me is coming up with the topics. What am I going to cover this week? And then once I get it playing. I'm a talker. I can sit there and talk. So that's not that big of a deal. I don't pre-write my scripts out or anything like that. I just get up and go. Sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 takes to get something, but for the most part, I just get up and talk and then just cut out the mistakes. So it's a little bit easier for me probably than it is for some of those other YouTubers. But when you see those guys that have just the fancy intros and all the music that plays along with it and the cut scenes and different topic or different like B-roll type footage going along while they're going over things, that's a lot of work. Make sure you support those guys because that is a lot of work. It's a lot more work than I put into them sometimes. Sometimes I wish I could do that, but that is not my gift. My gift is I think teaching. That's my gift, and that's what I try to do. So anyway, all right. Joanne Smith from California, hello to you. Izzy says, I also use sliced beets and pickling spice along with water, vinegar, and sugar. I have heard that, the liquid that's left over from pickled beets, that if you just drop eggs in there, it makes like the best pickled eggs ever. I don't know. I've never tried it. The one pickled eggs that I made that I tried and didn't like them. So I haven't tried again, but who knows? Maybe I will. All right, Hidden Bunnies, do you have any idea how many baby rabbits I have? I don't know. I know you probably have a lot of them, but no, I don't know how many you have. I love baby bunnies, and I just went crazy with the breeding season. LOL. Yeah, no kidding. All right, where are we at here? Rebecca saying, see you. I think you thought I was gone, didn't you? I don't know what happened there. Just lost connection for a minute. All right. Yes, I'm back. I don't even know. I'm going to have to check when I get off here. We may be running off my network instead of off my Wi-Fi, like my cellular network. If that's the case, the phone's doing pretty good, actually. I don't know that I connected it back to the Wi-Fi earlier. Anyway. All right. Michelle and, is it Michelle and Elizabeth Almanza? I think I got it right. Hello from Mount Airy, North Carolina. Well, hello to you. Glad you made it. Kelly says, Miss Izzy, I like the beets with pickled eggs best too. I've heard that makes the best pickled eggs. Again, I've never tried it, so it might be interesting to try at some point. I did make, I made refrigerator pickles yesterday. And hang on. Get a drink here. Refrigerator pickles, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or not, but I had a real problem with getting my cucumbers going this year. Slugs ate the sprouts as soon as they sprouted, so I didn't get nearly as many cucumber plants going. Pickling size cucumbers, not enough to, it was 2 jars worth is what I got. So it wasn't enough to fire up the stove and the water bath canner and make, full-blown pickles out of it. So I just made my brine like I normally would for pickles, same way you would make pickles, threw my dill, my, garlic clove, salt and all that kind of stuff in the jar, threw my pickles in there, poured the brine over them, but instead of water bath canning them, just capped them off and stuck them in the fridge, and then we'll eat those up. They're good for 30 days probably, roughly, as long as you're going to use them within 30 days. The good thing about that is they stay really crispy. So, there are tricks that you can use when you're making pickles to try to keep them crispy, but typically, when you're water bath canning, just the process of that makes them a little bit more on the, I don't know, for lack of a better term, mushy side. Extra tannin helps. There's a product called Pickle Crisp that you can add that helps. Grape leaves have lots of tannin in them, so I always throw some grape leaves in. Oak leaves are also in the same kind of family. They have tannin in them, so those would work as well too. And those do help with keeping them a little bit crispier, but they're never going to be as crispy as a refrigerator pickle. That's just the way it goes. All right, what else we got? The chat's kind of died down here. Is everybody still connected? I think we're still connected anyway. Hopefully I'm not just sitting here talking to nobody. There we are. Okay, there's some people here. Okay, good. It got real quiet there, and I thought maybe we lost the connection again, and I was about to think I was just sitting here talking and nobody was paying attention. All right, again, I need to start working on coming up with some topics to cover during this time, but so far I have not done that. I will tell you guys again, couple of weeks I've got a work trip again. I've got to go back to the Dominican Republic. Been trying to study up on my Spanish so I can speak a little bit better and don't get, asked for the menu and get brought a bottle of wine again this time. But haven't had much time to work on Spanish, so I don't think it's getting a whole lot better. Rebecca wants to know, have you ever grown Thai chili peppers? Yes, I did. You're talking about the little bird's eye peppers, the little tiny red ones. Those are fantastic. They're great little peppers. I grew them, let's see, last year. I don't have any growing this year, but last year I grew them. They're pretty good. They're probably, the heat's probably between like probably close to a jalapeno. They're not real big. They're not super hot. They're pretty good little peppers. Kenyon wants to know, have you ever thought of getting pheasants? I've never thought of getting pheasants, no. Hadn't been anything I've ever considered. Okay, Rebecca, you're talking about the longer ones, huh? The longer Thai peppers, are they, I'm not sure which ones those are right offhand, but as far as when to pick them, should be, I think they turn red, don't they? They start off green and turn red. When they turn red, they're ready to pick. That would be, and I would say, if you wanted to keep producing, pick the peppers as soon as they turn red, and the plant will produce longer. If you leave them on there, they're not necessarily going to go bad, but the plant quits producing. It doesn't produce as much if you leave the peppers on there, if that makes sense. All right. Doug Yearning says, I've been researching line breeding, and I'm going to take a stab at it. Got my first eggs, my quail laid in their baiter now. Hopefully by next year, I'll be isolating specific genes. Nope, no reason you shouldn't do that, Doug. I think that's a great idea. It's a good project to take on. If you can isolate one, you can sometimes get a really good, good breed, so to speak, of quail out of that. And you can isolate for, size, for all. I mean, that's how we got all the different kinds of quail that we have now. It's people doing the same thing you're doing right now. So you may end up with something unique. All right, Isabel's taking off, huh? Thanks for joining us tonight, Isabel. Good to see you. Have a good night, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Knight's Lionhead Rabbitry says, I have baby rabbits, and there are some that are smaller and don't have as big of bellies as the other ones. How do I know they're getting fed enough? Well, if they're still alive, they're probably getting fed enough. That would be my guess. Sometimes you get that. You get like a runt or two that just doesn't ever seem to be as big as the other babies. I don't know how many rabbits you have. I mean, that can be a concern that the mother can't take care of all of them. But if they're still alive and they're more than a week old, then she's probably doing a good job. She's probably taking care of them. Otherwise, they'd be dead. I mean, I hate to put it that way. It sounds very harsh, but that's usually what happens. There's lots of things you can do. Oh, you're signing out. It froze on you, huh? Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that, Kelly. She says, it froze on me. I'm signing out. Thank you for consistency and a great live feed every week. I appreciate it. I wish that the IP service would get this stuff right. Yeah, I know what you mean. I wish so too. Hopefully, I answered that question about the baby rabbits. How do you know they're getting taken care of? Again, you can hand feed them and all, but that's so much work. I mean, it's really difficult to do. Baby rabbits are very hard to hand raise. I don't find that it's worth it in most cases. That's just my opinion. All right, Ann says, love the channel, would like to see more cooking videos. Well, I'll see what I can do to put some more cooking videos together for you guys. I have some rabbits in the freezer. If I don't sell all the birds, I'll have some quail in the freezer soon. So got to work on some new recipes for them and get something up for you guys soon. All right. Did I miss anything? I think I got it all. Let me ask you guys real quick. How has the video stream been tonight? I know we had the one issue where it disconnected. I had to reconnect. Other than that, how's the video stream been? Has it been choppy? Has it been clean? Was it pretty smooth for the most part? Or what did you guys think? I'm trying to figure out if I've got my, internet issues fixed. It's been a real struggle since I started doing live streams. It's been good for you, Joanne. Good. Everything smooth? Okay, good. One thing I did, a couple of hiccups, but good overall. Okay. Well, I let my stepson continue playing video games. Usually I make him get off, but I let him go ahead and continue playing video games tonight, so that didn't seem to affect us too much. I did make a few changes, though. I was shooting on my iPad before. All kinds of problems. Got to thinking maybe it's the iPad, so now I'm shooting on my phone. I use my phone as the camera to do the live broadcast. Just do it right through the YouTube app, And I think that's working a little bit better, so hopefully it is. I don't have a fancy setup. I have some cheap lights here so you guys can see me and it's not terrible lighting, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So froze a couple of times, but other than that, it was pretty good. Okay, good deal. Again, guys, I got next week I should be here. Thursday night should be here. The week after, I'm going to be in the Dominican Republic again. You guys know how that goes. I always say I want to do a good, broadcast for you guys. I'm going to try, but then it comes down to it, and I very seldom get the time to do it. If I do, it probably won't be Thursday night. It'll probably be Friday night, but I won't know until Friday night. I'll be down there working, so it's really hard for me to know for sure if I'll have time or not. So anyway, next week I'll be here. Come back. We'll talk again. But the week after, maybe hit or miss. We'll see. Well, Walter, thanks for coming in and joining. I appreciate that. He's saying thanks for all the information, the time you take for all of us. Thank you guys for coming in. It's not a burden for me to come and do this. I like interacting with you guys. I'm a people person. I would like it better if we could all see each other and talk instead of me having to read your chats and respond to them. But I do like interacting with everybody. So thank you all for joining every week. I appreciate it. And it's what makes it worth it, what makes it worth me coming on here every week and getting this done. All right, sounds like we're pretty close to wrapping this up. Maybe a few minutes early tonight, but that's okay. It's been a long, busy week. I could use a few minutes extra to sit and just relax tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys again all for joining. I appreciate it. Have a great night, a great rest of the week and the weekend, and we will see you guys next week. God bless each and every one of you, and see you next week. Take care.